There is an ancient truth whispered in Zen teachings. When the mind cannot master itself, it will create more suffering than the world ever could. People often believe their greatest problems arise from external circumstances, other people, unfavorable conditions, or cruel fate. However, Zen wisdom reveals a profound secret. Half of all the problems in life come from just two things: speaking without thinking, acting without understanding. These two simple habits seem harmless at first, yet they grow into the roots of suffering. A single word spoken in haste can wound deeply, and one thoughtless action can alter the course of a lifetime. Zen masters teach that awareness and mindfulness are the cure. Watch the words you utter and the steps you take. When silence becomes a companion and wisdom precedes action, life flows like a tranquil river. Today, I invite you into a story, one that reflects this powerful teaching. Let the journey uncover why careless speech and impulsive actions disrupt peace, and how stillness and mindfulness can mend the chaos. Once, in a quiet land where life flowed in harmony with nature, there was a wise teacher. People traveled from far and wide to seek his counsel because he possessed an unshakable peace that seemed to defy all troubles. Among his visitors were two disciples, one a man who often spoke without thinking, and the other a woman who acted without understanding. They came to the teacher together, seeking the wisdom to free themselves from their endless suffering. The teacher greeted them with a serene smile. "Sit," he said, pointing to a shaded place beneath a large ancient tree. "You suffer because you have forgotten how to listen to your mind, to your heart, and to the silence that surrounds you." The disciples exchanged puzzled glances. They did not understand what the teacher meant. Seeing their confusion, the wise teacher began to explain the power and consequences of words. "Do you know," the teacher began, "that a word spoken without thought is like an arrow loosed without aim. Once it leaves the bow, it cannot return. Its path may cause unintended harm." To illustrate this point, the teacher shared a tale of a young merchant, the tale of the rash tongue. Once, there was a merchant who was known for his quick temper and sharp tongue. Though he was kind at heart, he had a habit of speaking in anger before thinking carefully. One day, a close friend approached him with a business proposal that required careful negotiation. The merchant agreed but grew impatient as the discussion stretched on. Frustrated, he shouted insults at his friend, accusing him of dishonesty and greed. Hurt by these words, the friend silently walked away, never to return. Days later, the merchant discovered that his friend had been offering him the chance of a lifetime, a partnership that would have brought great prosperity. The merchant regretted his words, but no matter how deeply he repented, he could not undo what had been spoken. His careless speech had cost him not only wealth but also a dear friendship. The teacher paused and looked at his disciples. "What can we learn from this?" he asked. The man who often spoke without thinking bowed his head. "Words are powerful. They can hurt others and create suffering for ourselves." "Yes," the teacher replied. "A single moment of thoughtless speech can destroy years of trust and peace. Words, like seeds, grow into consequences. Whether bitter or sweet depends on the care you give them." Zen teachings emphasize that silence is often more powerful than speech. When we pause to think before speaking, we gain control over our minds. It is said, "Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. At the first gate, ask yourself, is it true? At the second gate, ask, is it necessary? And at the third gate, ask, is it kind?" The disciples listened intently. The woman who acted impulsively asked, "But what if silence itself becomes avoidance?" The teacher smiled. True silence is not avoidance, it is listening with awareness. When you pause, thus you give yourself the space to understand before you respond. Silence is the foundation of wisdom. 2. The chaos of thoughtless action. Now let us consider action. The teacher continued. Acting without understanding is like walking blindfolded on a dangerous path. You may move quickly, but you risk falling into unseen traps. To explain, the teacher told the story of a farmer who acted hastily, the tale of the impatient farmer. There was once a farmer who was eager to see his crops grow quickly. Every morning he would visit his field and observe the young seedlings. But his impatience soon grew unbearable. One day, believing he could help the plants grow faster, he began to pull each seedling upward just a little. By evening he was exhausted but satisfied. He returned home and announced proudly to his family, "I have helped the crops grow today." The next morning, when the farmer visited his field, he was shocked. Every seedling he had pulled had withered and died. The teacher looked at the woman who often acted impulsively. What did the farmer's haste teach us? She lowered her gaze. Impulsive actions can cause more harm than good. Patience and understanding are needed. Indeed, the teacher said, so to act without understanding is to force life into unnatural patterns. Wisdom lies in observing, understanding, and then moving forward with care. Buddhist teachings remind us that right action stems from mindfulness and awareness. Before taking any step, we must consider what is the intention behind this action, what are the consequences of this action for myself and for others. Is this action aligned with my values and the greater good? The teacher said, acting with understanding means seeing the bigger picture. A moment's pause can save years of regret. The path to peace, mindfulness in words and actions. The two disciples sat quietly, reflecting on the teacher's words. The teacher continued, half of the problems in life arise from speaking without thinking and acting without understanding, because these habits create unnecessary suffering. But when we cultivate mindfulness, we reclaim peace. He then gave the disciples practical guidance. 1. Before speaking, breathe. Take a single deep breath before you respond to anyone. This moment of stillness will allow you to choose your words wisely. 2. Observe the mind before acting. Whenever you feel an impulse to act, observe the feeling. Ask yourself why you are acting and what it will achieve. 3. Embrace silence and reflection. Do not fear silence. It is in stillness that the mind finds clarity. From clarity comes wisdom, and from wisdom comes peace, a transformed life. Months passed, and the two disciples practiced what the teacher had taught. The man who often spoke without thinking learned to pause and choose his words carefully. He discovered that by speaking less, he hurt fewer people and brought more kindness into his relationships. The woman who acted impulsively began observing her intentions before taking action. She realized that patience allowed her to make better decisions and avoid unnecessary trouble. When they returned to the teacher, their faces shone with peace. "Master," they said, "your teachings have transformed our lives." The teacher nodded. "Remember, the path to peace is simple but not easy. Watch your words and actions, for they are the seeds of your future." Zen wisdom teaches that awareness is the foundation of a peaceful life. In us, when we speak with care and act with understanding, we reduce suffering for ourselves and others. The ancient saying holds true. Before you speak, think. Before you act, understand. In this mindfulness lies the key to freedom from unnecessary problems. The story of the two disciples reminds us that true mastery of life begins within, by observing our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Silence becomes our guide, and wisdom becomes our path. And so, as the teacher often said, when you master yourself, you master life itself. For half of the world's troubles disappear when you learn to pause, reflect, and respond with awareness. The power of mastering oneself. The two disciples remained with the teacher for a while longer, learning to perfect the art of mindfulness in words and actions. Slowly, they began to notice profound changes in their lives. Their relationships improved, and their inner peace grew stronger with each passing day. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson, the teacher called them to sit before him once again. The gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the great tree, and the sound of nature's stillness surrounded them. "Tell me," the teacher said softly, "how do you feel now compared to the day you first came to me?" The man who once spoke thoughtlessly replied, "Master, I feel lighter. My words are fewer, but carry greater meaning. I used to believe speaking loudly or quickly showed strength. But now I see true power lies in the ability to pause and choose words that heal, not harm." The woman who once acted impulsively added, "I too feel peace I never knew before. I no longer rush through life, reacting to everything. I observe, I reflect, and only then do I act. My steps are now steady, and I feel as though I am finally walking in harmony with life." The teacher smiled, his gaze kind and knowing in us. You have both touched upon the essence of mindfulness. But let me tell you one final story, one that will show you the full power of mastering yourself. The tale of the warrior and the monk. Long ago, there was a powerful warrior who was undefeated in battle. His strength was legendary, and people both feared and admired him. However, the warrior was troubled. Despite his victories, he felt an emptiness within, a restlessness that no amount of conquest could fill. One day, the warrior heard of a monk who lived in the mountains. A monk said to possess wisdom so profound that it could bring peace to even the most turbulent heart. Intrigued, the warrior set out to find him. After days of searching, the warrior finally arrived at the monk's humble dwelling. The monk sat quietly outside his small hut, meditating in the soft glow of the morning sun. The warrior, unable to contain his impatience, called out, "Monk, I have come to you seeking answers. As I am a great warrior, but I am not at peace. Teach me the way to conquer this restlessness within." The monk slowly opened his eyes and regarded the warrior with calmness. "What troubles you, mighty warrior?" "I have fought countless battles and defeated many enemies." The warrior said, "Yet I feel empty. I cannot find peace, and I do not understand why." The monk stood and gestured for the warrior to follow him. Together, they walked to the edge of a still pond nestled in the valley. The water was so clear that one could see their reflection perfectly on its surface. "Look at the water," the monk said. The warrior gazed at his reflection. "What do you see?" "I see myself," the warrior replied. The monk picked up a small stone and dropped it into the pond. Ripples spread across the surface, distorting the warrior's reflection. "What do you see now?" So the monk asked. The warrior frowned. "The water is disturbed. I can no longer see myself clearly." The monk smiled. "The water is like your mind, warrior. When it is disturbed by anger, impatience, and thoughtless actions, it becomes impossible to see yourself clearly. But when you allow the water to settle, clarity returns and you can see the truth." The warrior stared at the pond, understanding dawning in his heart. "So, to find peace, I must calm the disturbances within me." "Yes," the monk replied. "Your enemies are not out there in the world, they are within your mind. They are your impatience, your anger, and your impulsiveness. Conquer these, and you will find the peace you seek." From that day forward, the warrior no longer sought battles with others. Instead, he began the greatest battle of all, the battle to master himself. With time, his mind grew calm in us, his actions deliberate, and his heart peaceful. He became a true warrior, not of the sword, but of the spirit, mastering inner battles. The teacher finished the story and turned to the disciples. What can we learn from the warrior's journey? The man who had learned to control his words replied, the greatest battles are fought within. When we allow our minds to be disturbed by anger, haste, or thoughtlessness, we lose clarity and create suffering for ourselves. The woman who had learned to act with understanding added, only when we master ourselves can we find true peace. The stillness of the mind reflects the stillness of the soul. The teacher nodded. Indeed, half of the problems in life come from these inner disturbances. Speaking without thinking and acting without understanding. These disturbances ripple outward, just like the stone in the pond, creating chaos in our relationships, our work, and our hearts, the path to stillness. Practical steps to master words and actions. The disciples looked to the teacher for guidance on how to maintain their newfound peace. The teacher offered them a simple yet profound practice to carry with them through life. 1. Pause before you speak. When you feel the urge to speak, pause for 3 breaths. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this necessary? Is this kind? If your words do not pass these gates, remain silent. Silence is often the wisest response. 2. Observe before you act. When you feel the impulse to act, stop and observe your mind. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? What are the consequences? Only when your intentions are clear and pure should you proceed. 3. Meditate daily. Spend time each day in stillness. Sit quietly, watch your breath, and allow your mind to settle. Like the pond, your mind will reflect truth only when it is still. 4. Practice patience. Patience is not weakness, it is strength. It allows you to respond with wisdom rather than react with impulse. 5. Cultivate compassion. Speak and act from a place of love and compassion. When your words and actions arise from kindness, they will never cause harm. A life of peace and clarity. Years later, the 2 disciples became teachers themselves. They traveled far and wide, sharing the wisdom they had learned. People marveled at their calm presence and the depth of their words. When asked how they achieved such peace in us, they would tell the story of their master and the 2 great lessons. Half of the problems in life come from speaking without thinking. The other half come from acting without understanding. Their lives became a testament to the power of mindfulness. By mastering their words and actions in us, they freed themselves from unnecessary suffering and brought peace to all those around them, the stillness within. In Zen and Buddhist teachings, the mind is likened to a pond. When disturbed by careless words and thoughtless actions, it becomes muddy and chaotic. But when we practice stillness, in us pausing, observing, and reflecting, the mind becomes clear, and we can see the truth of life. The great Zen master once said, mastering yourself is the key to mastering life. Speak with care, act with wisdom, and let your mind settle like a still pond. In this stillness lies the answer to all your troubles. So, the next time you feel the urge to speak without thinking or act without understanding, remember the stone in the pond. Pause, reflect, let stillness guide you, for in the stillness you will find peace, and in peace you will find yourself. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.